everyone. I'm here with Nathan Lueth. He's an editor and publisher. Nathan, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, Ryan. Pleased to be here, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, thank you for being on. So I guess full disclosure, we're gonna be talking a bit about your anthology project coming up, and
Mm,
I have a comic in that, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But just for anyone listening, I'm really excited about this project, but just wanted to share that it's something that I'm part of, and I'm really happy to be part of because it's one of my favorite books actually. It's like might want to take this long further, so
mm.
I have you to thank for that actually.
Oh no, I was happy to have you aboard. I really loved the artwork. The Satoshi Kon influence
Yeah.
like jumped right out at me. I really like what you're working with the black and white and the very bright red,
Yeah.
and I really loved the twist at the end. So
Yeah.
I don't, no spoilers or anything like
Yeah, it
that.
worked.
But no, it was a great story, very strong entry, and I'm proud to have it aboard.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess with anybody that I have on, I always kind of just talking to so many different creatives and different people in this world. I always try to get initially like, what's your origin story as a creative? Like,
Oh,
where's got you kind of started on this track to where we are
right.
today?
Right, right. I mean, stop me if you've heard this one before. As a young warthog, I was always drawing and telling stories to myself in my mind and all that good stuff. And I was fortunate enough to have parents that encouraged and some might say enabled
Yeah.
that course in my life. I attended art school at the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and afterwards, I kind of bopped around doing various freelance projects, live caricaturist, let's see, kind of whatever, basically whatever involved drawing and a paycheck. Um, after a couple of years, I started up a web comic with a writer that I knew at the time, and over the course of the next 8 years, we produced a steampunk fantasy epic story called Impure Blood together. And while I'm very proud of the work that I did on it, um, it was never really what you might call financially successful or
Yeah.
anything like that. So, after the series wrapped in 2017, I knew that I wanted to do another webcomic just because I loved working on, unique projects so much like that. Um, but I also knew that I wanted to figure out how to make it financially solvable, how to actually monetize things properly. So I spent the next couple of years researching, making connections, and just straight up asking questions about like and kind of examining people who were making a good living doing webcomics and what have you. And then in 2020, I launched the first hardcover collected edition of Impure Blood and have been kickstarting various projects since then. I launched my current ongoing series, a post-apocalyptic urban fantasy tale called The Canon of Vangel in 2022, which was also the same year that I launched my first anthology book, Concrete Arcanum, the follow-up to which we are currently discussing here. So yeah, the Reader's Digest version, but yeah, that's that's kind of the track that I've taken. I'm very passionate about creators doing it for themselves and just not being reliant on a publisher or a middleman or a gatekeeper or anything like that. It is a golden age for self-publishing right now, and I think that everybody should be out there. Everybody who can should be out there trying to their stuff out there and get it done.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's definitely something we're gonna get into a little bit. So now, are you at a point now where you're doing this full time?
I am doing this full time.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
full time sometimes.
Yeah.
It has been funny. Like a lot of people are like, oh, how nice it must be to work for yourself and right, but be your own boss. But now everybody realizes that the boss follows you home. So
Yeah, I
right,
mean, I think that's part of the issue is, on one hand, it's like you're living the dream, right? It's like I'd love to kind of
right.
be doing it full time, but I also know, being just having launched one, comic on Kickstarter,
Mhm.
how hard that is. And
Yeah.
so if that is, for me, it was like, okay, it's an hobby, but an expensive hobby. I'd love for it to be full time, but to have that be
Yeah.
your bread and butter, that
Yeah.
that's a lot harder and a lot more stressful and a lot more anxiety producing
Yeah.
when that's how you make your living.
Oh, most definitely. And I mean, we creatives, uh, we don't want to deal with the business side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just want to sit in our rooms and draw and write and
Yeah.
do, and like I get that. That has been me for like the majority of my life and career. I just want to impress upon people that if you're willing to learn a few new skills, and I mean that's who we are as creative people. We are skillsy people. We know how to learn. We're smart and creative. So if you can apply some of that mindset and some of that intelligence to learning how to take on the entrepreneurial spirit, learning some small business management, learning some online advertising techniques, it is absolutely possible to do it for yourself. As a,
Yeah. What are the, so I guess, because that is a huge lesson to learn, I think, for a lot of people that I've talked to. I've been doing a little bit more of the like kind of conventions in in the
Mhm,
area and meeting people. And I do find it interesting how many people neglect that aspect of it. So as somebody who's a
yeah,
creative, right, who's writing and drawing and creating works,
mhm,
how does that math in your head kind of change for you? That like I want to be, I want to work on X, Y, and Z,
mhm,
but I've got to get people to buy that. Like, how does your life change? How does your work change? And like, what percent does it shift from like I'm 100% an artist or a creative, and
mhm,
now
mhm.
I'm what percent, marketing and
Right.
project managing and everything else?
Oh man, yeah, that is a great question. And so I also, whenever I talk about this, I also want to let people know that you don't. It is perfectly valid and valuable to not make your creative passion your career because in so doing you do lose a little bit of freedom. I have a brand and people expect a certain kind of thing from me, so I can't like if I want to all of a sudden dabble in, I don't know, a sculpture or
Yeah.
something else. I've spent all this time building up an audience that is interested in modern fantasy comics. If I all of a sudden decide like, no, I want to do sculpture, uh, I'm gonna I think I like to think most of them would be like, that's cool. Let me know when you come back
Yeah.
to modern fantasy comics.
Agreed.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's important to build a career doing if you're gonna do it. It's important to build it doing something that you love and that you're passionate about, and that you can do it all the time.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, you lose a little bit of that freedom to explore whatever new and weird thing catches your attention. And
Yeah.
so that is a bit of the trade-off. As far as, what percentage of the time I'm doing like the business admin side of things and what percentage of the time I'm actually creating content for myself, I would put that at about 50-50, and I'm fortunate to be so. Yeah. Let's see. So, and that's usually kind of how I break down my day, actually. Spend my mornings doing content creation, working on my comics, working on writing or what have you, and then spend the afternoons doing admin stuff, and, the bookkeeping, the marketing, the website maintenance and care and feeding. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's about how it breaks down for me these days.
Yeah. So no, as somebody who's for me, like, I've been doing this now for a few years now, writing. Well, I've been writing comics for maybe
Mm,
5 years,
of course.
producing them for, four, 3, 4. But
Right.
what's been an interesting experience for me is like starting as a writer, then learning how to do some coloring and learning how to letter, how those things have informed my work. So you started as an artist, but
Mhm,
now you write. How has that informed your work? Like how they kind of worked off of each other. Like,
mhm,
just as an artist, I feel like, or, for me, like just as a writer,
mhm.
when you're writing, you're just doing a certain thing. Obviously for comics, you're writing it
Mhm.
for the page and for panels and thinking about page turns and things like that. But I'm not really
Mhm.
thinking too much about the colors until I learned how to color. And then all of a sudden
Right.
I'm thinking about
Mhm.
how the colors inform that. So yeah, I'm just interested in how you manage it to, because it's like with comics, it's so compartmentalized that if you
Yeah.
do multiple things, I find it interesting how they blend into each other.
Which is really funny that you mentioned that because when I was purely illustrating for a writer,
Yeah.
one of the most common things that where the comic writer and the artist kind of butt heads is about how much you can fit on a page, right?
Yeah.
Like the writer, is used to like, like I can write it's a lot easier to
Yeah.
write, a full battle scene,
Yeah.
with people in this kind of armor and people in that kind of armor, and
Yeah.
one guy is doing this and the other guy is skewering a whole bunch of guys. It's one thing to write that. It's a
Yeah.
very it's a very completely different thing to illustrate that. It takes a lot more time.
Yeah.
um Although, so now that I am writing for myself, I find that writer Nathan and artist Nathan often have the same kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Like when I'm writing it, I'm like, oh man, it would be so great. Like I do have, being a visual thinker, I do have an idea of what stuff happens in my head.
Yeah.
But I will still absolutely come back to the script when I switch around to the illustration phase and be like,
Yeah.
okay, can I swear? Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, seriously.
They're like, that's like motherfucker. Like, past Nathan is a dick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, writer Nathan, I hate that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah. Although the more I will also say, the more that I do it, the more that I take on the writing stuff, the more cohesive and holistic the whole process
Yeah.
becomes.
Absolutely.
So in my current story, the Canon Evangel, it takes place across three time periods. The main character is past, present, and future. And so, as I was writing it, I kind of conceived of the idea like, oh man, like I should like everything in the past is coded like with a red, a red monotone.
Yeah.
Everything, oh no, excuse me, other way around. Everything in the future has a red monotone
Okay.
because it's a little bit. The idea is that she's trying to prevent a future that prevent an apocalyptic future. So red being more threatening. I was like, all right, everything in the past should be
Yeah.
red. Everything in the future should be red. Then everything in the past is tinted blue, and then everything in the present is true to life or
Yeah.
true color and what happened. So that was something that just came about. And even as I'm drawing now, since we mentioned incorporating the admin part of the business,
Yeah.
I am a little less inclined to do things like panel overlaps, like
Yeah.
when a character, is like pointing their finger and it overlaps into the next panel. I'm a little less inclined to do that these days because I know that's going to be a pain in the butt to slice up the panels and
Yeah.
publish on my website later.
Got it. Okay.
So,
Yeah,
so
that makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, yeah. So even if, for instance, whatever stage you're at, even if, for instance, like writing Nathan is at the helm, and doing stuff like that, artist Nathan and business Nathan are still, kind of in the
Yeah.
back seat, looking over his shoulder, being like, "What's going on? What you doing?" Right.
Yeah. It's funny you mention that, because I do think there's like definitely business Ryan, where like
Mhm.
I think when I first wrote my first couple scripts, not really realizing
Mhm.
how much money was going to cost.
Yeah.
So, I could do 28 pages, 30 pages,
Mhm.
35, whatever it is. And then you start paying for it. And so I
Mhm.
think more recently, as I write, I'm like, okay, gotta be more concise, both for the artist, but also financially. Like, I can't just,
Yep.
every
Mhm.
page is going to cost money. And so,
Right.
yeah, it's like,
Oh yeah.
definitely a process.
Well, and that is the truth. And I don't think I started appreciating that
Yeah.
until I just started my current phase of self-publishing career. That yeah, like the more pages like we would all the more pages you take up, the more expensive the book is going to
Yeah.
be. So you do kind of want to strike that balance of being concise, but
Yeah.
also again but I mean that's art since
Yeah.
time immemorial. Money, since we started using this money thing,
Yeah.
like you kind of have to balance, the ideation with what is pragmatic and possible and
Exactly.
financially feasible. So, and I think that is again a healthy thing for if you're going to do it as a business, a healthy thing
Yeah.
to keep in mind and remember. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you have any? Are there any like kind of creative influences for you, like that are really important, whether it's on the art side or on the writing side?
Oh my God. So let's see. How long you got? Oh man. Let's see. Artistically, I started aping Bill Watterson of Calvin and Hobbes like
Okay.
way back in the day. So that was kind of my start. Mark Bagley, Dragon Ball Z. I really enjoy the character design wise. My Oh man, I am gonna blank on his name, and I feel terrible about it. But the main character designer for Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 10,
Mhm.
Tetsu Nomura.
Okay.
Hey, just I love the way he balances functionality with fantasy. If you look at the Final Fantasy 7 character designs, like this all looks like stuff people would actually, wear,
Yeah.
but it's still distinctly not of our world,
Yeah.
right? Um, let's see. As far as writing goes, oh man, I've taken influence, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let's see the Neon Genesis Evangelion. Let's see, I'm a big mythology reader and fan, so like creatures and stories from mythology and folklore are going to pop up in the canon of Evangel, and I. And then, of course, who doesn't like the Dresden Files? It's a great story, and it's just like my favorite summer read right there.
So yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Concrete Arcanum.
Mm,
So the first volume, what inspired you to write that, or to put that in anthology together?
yeah.
And I guess what were takeaways from your first time doing an anthology?
Oh man. Let's see. So, as I mentioned, I spent a couple years in the wilderness trying to, figure out what I wanted to do with my the second half of my career, the back half of my career. And I noticed that people like Russell Nolte and Travis Gibb were doing very well creating anthologies. And the more I looked into it, the more of a great idea I thought it was. Um, just and ever since art school, I've really enjoyed the dynamic of when a teacher will give you an assignment, like just like a one or two sentence premise, and then like a week later everybody comes back with their artwork, and there are all these different and awesome takes on this same idea,
Yeah.
it is so dependent on each and every individual artist,
Yeah.
which also, by the way, to any aspiring artists out there, like don't get too married to your idea,
Yeah.
because the idea is just, like the seed. It's like how you execute upon it that makes it awesome. And anthology books are the perfect example of that. The fundamental premise of Concrete Arcanum series is that it has become public mainstream knowledge that magic and monsters are real.
Yeah.
So like most urban fantasy, like the mundane world and the magical world are separate and apart, and neither the twain shall meet. But I kind of wanted to blow that out of the water and be like, okay, what if, Ma and Pa Jones from Kansas found out that, oh yeah, no, all these fairies and vampires and
Yeah.
everything else are real and have been living amongst us in hiding. So, and it's been so much fun to see everybody's take on that. Vampire detectives,
Yeah.
let's see, paranormal investigators, been a few. Oh my gosh, a beautiful tale about a girl trying to help out her family because by trying to find a real dragon in and amongst a little vending machine that pumps out toy dragons. So yeah, like just again, so
Yeah.
I get so excited just talking about it. Yeah, just
Yeah.
like the variety of stuff that has been put forward has been just fantastic, and I love seeing it. I like this is as much a treat for me as it is for anybody else, because I love reading these stories,
Yeah.
and as you can tell, I'm like so very excited to share them because I love this and I want other people to love it too.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. Let's see. The second half of your question, you asked like what
Yeah,
lessons I
yeah.
learned.
What challenges like what did you find from like that first?
Oh man, let's see. One, for all of the reputation that artists may have about being flighty, and the first one going into it, I was a little bit like, is this going to be like herding cats? Not at all.
Really?
Let's see. The majority, the overwhelming majority of people, like 80, 90% of the contributors got their stuff in on time, according to spec, and it was all fantastic. So, and I did specifically ask for people who, or specifically scouted out people who were serious
Yeah.
creators, serious amateur, pro-am, full professional creators. But yeah, I had very few problems, and the majority of the people who did have to back out were like, "Hey, let me know that with plenty of time to
Yeah.
spare."
That's
So that was awesome.
yeah.
Um, I did, let's see, I did bend over backwards a little bit more than I should have for one particular creator. And like I don't want to I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but we had a big name creator who had pledged some pages to the project. And again, not going to name anybody, but this was a creator that who had their work turned into a movie. So
Mm,
I was very excited to have them aboard.
yeah.
Um they let's see, and I don't want to assume anything on their behalf. I don't, there are reasons for not getting their pages in may have been perfectly valid. I don't know. But I was a little sad that, I was sad that they
Yeah,
didn't get their
absolutely.
stuff in. So,
Yeah.
the one of the lessons that I've learned this time around is, I'll give people, I'll cut people a break within reason, but I do have to, I don't like being a hard ass, but
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta be like, all right, well, that was the deadline,
Yeah.
I'll give you some I'll give you some leeway for, like personal emergencies or whatever else, but like,
Yeah.
but yeah. But yeah, like once it's done, and I gotta launch this thing. It is a little bit like being the captain of the boat. Like,
Yeah.
you can't hold the entire boat up for just one or two people that, can't make it because that's not fair to the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
So, so yeah. So there have so I do, as of this recording, have a few more people that I need to poke a little bit. Like, okay, yeah, all
Yeah.
right, this is it. I need pages.
Yeah.
But even if they, and again, no hard feelings. I'm not a bridge burner or a grudge holder. Life happens.
Yeah.
But so if not this time, then maybe, the next go around, because I do foresee there being more concrete Arcanums in the future. And this is a project that I'm intending to, I think, do maybe a new one every other year or so.
Yeah, no, it's great. And for me, like I as one of the and kind of one of the secrets I think for especially for a writer,
Mhm.
where funds are limited and sometimes it's hard to go through the process of getting a
Mhm.
full book paid for and doing all the marketing. I
Yeah.
think anthologies are an amazing kind of resource for you, both because it allows you to make these smaller bits of work. Somebody else is handling all the business side, you're obviously
Right.
helping out with marketing and things like
Right.
that. It also exposes you to a community and really helps with writing. For me, also for me as somebody who really got into kind of coloring and lettering,
Mhm.
it gave me an opportunity to kind of do it and learn that aspect
Yeah.
of comic art and creation myself.
Mhm.
Without I feel like if I was like, all right, I'm going to color a massive book first, I'd be a lot
Mhm.
more, it'd be a lot harder to do that,
Yeah.
where I'm
And
able to learn some of these things. Yeah.
Right, and as I mentioned, this is where anthologies are kind of how I, first took my big toe into
Yeah.
Kickstarters and learning to learning how to how to write and also self-publish a little
Yeah.
bit. I mentioned Russell Nolte previously. Had the very great pleasure of being in all three of his is
Oh,
hard to spell
yeah.
anthologies.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of and that gave me the opportunity to find my legs as a writer and
Yeah.
also kind of like peek over the collective shoulder there and be like, how's this Kickstarter thing working?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's a great opportunity for people, and I've
Yeah.
had a great time with this one. I think as a on the creative end, I think you've been more than reasonable as far as communicating and giving us
Mhm.
time. I think I've been
Okay, good.
fortunate to be in several anthologies in the last year,
Yeah.
and they've all been good. I haven't had any negative experiences, but I do like that you were very clear with like, here's the dates, here's what we
Right.
need specifically.
Mm.
Everything is laid out there, so it's
Yeah.
really easy for somebody to follow and know what is needed.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, I know with anytime you're trying to wrangle up a certain amount of people, you're gonna pick
Hmm.
up people you
Hmm.
gotta poke a little bit, but otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think just seeing on the Facebook group and on the Discord some of the art and some of the ideas,
Right.
it's a fun
Oh, yeah.
project, and I think I love that idea, like you mentioned, where there's a prompt and then just everybody figures out what they want, what they're gonna do.
Right. Right. Right.
It's,
Right. Yeah.
you know,
I was gonna say, yeah. Let's see. And yeah, no, everybody's been great. Like by and large, I am just so fortunate and so lucky for. I'm gushing here,
yeah,
and I won't apologize for it.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I've just been so very lucky with the just the remarkable talent that I've been able to attract to this, with the work ethic that everybody has had, and just the overwhelmingly positive community, and just the level of different voices and perspectives.
yeah,
Also, I mean, we've just got like such a great variety of people.
yeah,
I am just again, as you can tell, every time it gets talking about it, I just get
yeah.
so excited. Like it's fantastic. So, um, but let's see. Yeah, and like people from all over the world as well. I think we got folks from I believe India. I've got folks from the UK. I got folks from Canada, and of course the entire width and breadth of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's fun for me when I remember seeing the post anthology, and I had watched have you ever seen Brick by Ryan Johnson?
I have not. I'm familiar with those parts.
Yeah, so it's a great movie, and it's the weirdest movie because it's teenagers, but
Hmm.
it is full on noir. Like it hits all those notes. And I'd watched it years ago, but I'd watched it again recently, and I was like, so I just got into this noir thing. So when I saw that post, I was like, ooh, wait, what can I do a monster? And I'm thinking noir. I was like, I'm gonna write about a vampire that's a detective and make it noir.
There you go.
And then I just started, it's like I'm gonna figure this thing out, and I was really happy with that. But it's like sometimes you just need that little prompt, and then like
Hmm.
the thing you're
Hmm.
thinking about,
Hmm.
pops up. So it was cool.
Oh, oh, absolutely. And that is part of why I really enjoy like the whole modern fantasy, urban fantasy thing is when two seemingly disparate ideas
Yeah,
collide, and kind of come together. You get this beautiful peanut butter in my chocolate kind of moment.
yeah.
So like I'm adding that one to the show
Yeah,
list.
it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I like him as a writer. I know there's some mixed things about some of the stuff he's done, but
Oh, well.
I think
That's creativity, man.
yeah,
Everybody's got an
exactly.
opinion about
But
what to do, and yeah.
But watch Break because it is such a weird like it's got again it's like it's teenagers.
Mhm.
That Joseph Gordon-Levitt as basically a
Oh,
teenager. It takes place in high school, basically in high
okay.
school, but it's full on noir. Like again, if you just aged up the characters, made it black and white from the dialogue to the cinematography, it really feels like a noir. But I think
All right. Yeah,
his
man.
first film, it's one of his
Yeah.
first films,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that had me on this noir kick for a while, and it was like perfect timing.
Right. Right. Okay. You got me sold, man. I need to check this out.
All right, so as part of the process, I'm sure you had a lot of people submit for the
Hmm.
anthology. Especially, I think the other thing is there are a lot of anthologies that are like we need finished work or we need a certain level of process. In your case, it was like scripts.
Hmm.
So how do you? I'm sure you got a lot more
Yeah.
than you know what to do with. So how
Okay.
did you go about this process of deciding which ones to keep, which ones to not keep? For this anthology.
Oh, man, that was a tough one. Let's see. There was. As you say, there was a lot of submissions and more than I could really make, as we touched on earlier. You know, you kind of have to limit the page count, or else your printing costs are going to be astronomical. So I was looking for something in the vicinity of 200, 220 pages or so. And that was kind of like the limitation that I was working with. And then it was funny, like when I started it, right after I finished fulfilling the first Concrete Arcanum, my girlfriend was like, "So when are you making the next one?" And I'm like, are you kidding me?" Like, yeah. Like it took these take a lot of energy and a lot of coordination stuff like that. And again, love it. Make no mistake. But at that time, I was just kind of like pooped and didn't want to have to think about it. Um, until I pulled my audience and like asked them what projects, what are my upcoming what project, you know, kind of should I do next? Or like what project would you be most interested in me doing next? And Concrete Arcanum was far and away like the number one thing that people wanted to see a follow up to. So I was so then I was kind of like, oh, okay, all right. And then but then part of me was still kind of like, ah, man, you know, like how many people are actually going to show up for this? You know, like I had to, you know, so I put out the call for submissions, and then it was like, holy
Yeah.
shit! Like
Yeah.
I had literally twice as many submissions for Living with Monsters, the current anthology, as I did for the first Concrete Arcanum. So
Yeah.
it was, yeah. And there were, let's see. And yeah, it was tough. There weren't any that were unworthy or anything like that. Um, there were some that, let's see. I liked what they were doing and what they were working with, but they were just like not quite ready for prime time. And while I absolutely wanted to leave space for people who are new early on in their career, and
Yeah.
you know, I have done. You know, there are you know, people who are very new and people who are veteran. You know, veterans of dozens of Kickstarters. We got the entire skills gamut. Um, so. I only it was really a matter of how much space there was.
Yeah.
And let's see. Um and so yeah, I had to make some tough choices. I had to let some people know that not not a no, just not this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. And I tried to approach it. I tried to approach everything with that level of kindness. Um, but yeah, it was the judging criteria were basically in terms of you know, the quality of your work, of course. That was kind of probably the biggest thing. There was quite how much your story butted heads with somebody else's story. Like if somebody, you know, if two people came up with the same thing, it was kind of like, yeah, you know, and it is modern fantasy, so there's vampire stuff.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
think yours has a vampire named Vince too, right?
and I say, let's see, my and yeah, like yours and mine were similar in that they both deal with vampires, and I posted the script on the Facebook page,
Yeah.
and you mentioned that, yeah,
Yeah.
like both our vampires are named Vincent, but I was comfortable with that in that mine is more of a tragic love story.
Yeah, exactly. Like the good
And
stories.
yours is more of a crime noir, so
Yeah.
that, and then also I don't think my main character is actually ever explicitly named in the dialogue or anything like
Yeah.
that. So you know, there's just it's just a male vampire and a female vampire, and and my story is kind of about them uh kind of dealing with the fact that it's hard to date when you're, you know, when generational differences means you're maybe several generations removed from anybody else, you know.
Yeah.
uh so uh so yeah. So yeah, and I mean the it basically all came down to let's say as far as the criteria went, it basically all came down to the quality of your work and how strong it was and whether or not it stepped on anybody else's toes.
Yeah.
So, and then the event that it stepped on somebody else's toes, I just kind of had to go with the story that I felt was stronger. And yeah, and so there are creators that I thought did great, and I very much hope that they submit to Concrete Arcanum in, let's say, 2027.
Yeah. Nice. So you're ready. So you're planning on the third release in 2027.
I mean, let's see how this one goes. But
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like like this has legs. And as I mentioned, my audience likes it. It makes me happy to put together. So, and as long as that continues to be true, I think I think I am gonna. Yeah, yeah. We'll see how much space I have, how much storage space I have for all of these books. But yeah, just gotta move them.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's great. So speaking of moving them, tell me a little bit about kind of the challenges of Kickstarter and what you've learned over the years, running, multiple campaigns. Like how are you able to, advice for somebody who wants to use Kickstarter, to
Mm.
get their next book funded.
Sure, absolutely. Again, as I mentioned previously, it's a golden age for self-publishing, and yeah, the key to Kickstarter is keeping in mind that I like to use the metaphor, a band, a metaphor, and that Kickstarter is the venue and you are the band.
Mhm.
Uh, and if you want to have a good, event, and treat your Kickstarter like it's an event. If you want to have a good showing, you need to mobilize your audience to come to the venue
Yeah,
when it's for your for when it's showtime.
yeah,
Like if you just show up and put your thing up on Kickstarter, that's basically like doing no advertising. You're going to get like the barflies are going to be there. The people that are just regulars and are just kicking around, the bar or what have you. But if you really want, a great night, you need to, get your audience, the people who, already know and love your work to show up and show out.
yeah,
Um, so I like to think of it in that regard. Mailing list has been the key to my success to do that. Um, I know a lot of people that have had leaned harder into social media and have had good luck with that. I'm still trying to crack that nut
yeah,
myself.
yeah,
But if social media works for you and you get a good response from social media and you get a lot of people clicking your links and going to where you direct them, then go forth in Godspeed. Use if that's your tool, use that. Um, Let's see. I the only asterisk I want to put on that is sometimes, the people that own your social media platform go crazy, and and then you're faced with the challenge of trying to rebuild your audience on another platform. So.
yeah,
Let's see, and but then that's again why I favor mailing lists is because you can like import it, export it, like all your subscribers are your subscribers, not,
yeah,
whatever other platforms. Let's see. So, the other thing I think is good, basic what Kickstarter 101 stuff is make sure you know what it's going to cost to ship, build fulfillment into your budget.
yeah,
That's all, that is always important. Um, uh, I'd say I've seen so many people take a bath on Kickstarter because they forget to estimate out the shipping and build
yeah,
shipping into their the cost of their you know of their rewards. And uh, be patient. And this last one is advice to myself,
yeah,
a little bit. But don't launch until you're ready to launch.
yeah,
A lot of people jump the gun.
yeah,
From my years of experience as a freelancer, I have enough faith in myself to know that if a book isn't 100% done by the time I hit the launch button, that I do have the follow through to, like to finish up the pages and it will get out there.
yeah.
So, um, on Kickstarter, as with in the freelance world, your reliability is, the cornerstone of your
Yeah.
career. Like, if you don't fulfill, and then nobody's going to show up for your next one,
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
So if Kickstarter is um, a platform that you want to use a lot, and for self-publishing, I don't think there's anything better right now. Then yeah, that reliability, that confidence that your audience has that you are going to deliver on what you promise, that is paramount.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a good lesson that was instilled early on when I was writing my first campaigns. Like, finish the book first. That
yep, yep, yep.
then most of the work is done. Then you can just worry
Right,
about fulfillment.
right.
And even then, it's like not like, at least at that point, it's like I'm not trying to make my money back
Yeah,
necessarily. It's
yeah,
you're able to build an audience and get and
yeah,
learn
exactly.
the process for it.
Hmm, hmm,
And
hmm.
obviously, some people are some people don't have the luxury. But
Right.
it definitely is a fortunate position to be in to like be able to.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And let's see. And and then just yeah, like also the fact that again, life happens.
Yeah.
If you fund your Kickstarter and your book is like half to 75% done, and then I don't know, like some kind of family tragedy happens, or you get into a car accident or something like that. Like yeah,
Yeah.
there's a million things that could, get in the way of that. So the closer you are to done, the better, and the more insurance you have against something like that happening and you taking your reputation.
Exactly. Well, I was like one of my other hobbies is 3D printing, and
Oh,
I
nice.
and like that was the worst thing is like there were so many projects over the years that I backed that fell through, and that's even worse than comics. So you're dealing with
Yeah.
electronics and prototypes, and yeah,
Mm,
the prototype worked, but for some reason we
right.
can't get it working in production.
Right.
So I kind of learned that early on. It's like, yeah, your
Mm, hmm.
reputation is 100%. Like if you can't fulfill, then
Yeah.
you're not going to get people to buy your stuff anymore.
A
So
thousand percent. Hmm.
part of it. And I'm glad you mentioned the newsletter because I think that for me, I prefer newsletters over as personally
Mm,
to social media because I find
mm.
it's like once a week, or once a month, I'm going to spend that week working on the newsletter. I send it out to
Oh
my
yeah.
to people. You build an audience that way that
Mm,
can be engaged, and it's a lot easier to me. It's maybe more work in certain
right.
aspects, but it's a lot easier than trying to
Mm.
navigate the world of social media and figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's just the fact that we're creative and intelligent people, like we have opinions and
Yeah.
things to say. So, and also we are writers and artists. So, a forum in which we are attracting readers is, definitely ideal for what we do.
Yeah. So now a question for this, I don't know if you've built out the entire campaign yet, but for this anthology, are there going to be any interesting rewards or stretch
Mhm.
goals or anything that you can talk about now?
Most definitely. I'm looking forward to unveiling a new enamel pin
Mhm.
for this book. Let's see, one of the most popular add-ons from the previous campaign was the sticker that featured an emoji circle, like it's like a magic circle
Mhm.
for magic, but it also had all these little emoji faces
Yeah.
around it, and then a little D20 dice in the middle.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, definitely gonna build that out, and it's popular to sell at cons and such. Let's see, the pouches for dice and such were a popular item for the last campaign. So I've got Brooke Ledick of Creating Meraki Studios working on a little kind of purse pouch add-on, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, poster prints of the cover art. Let's see, in case you haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I know you've seen it, but yeah,
Yeah.
your readers haven't seen it. But it's pretty cute. Super proud of how it turned out. It's got the elf girl from the first book kind of reading, and all of these other monsters, kind of peeking over her shoulder. So that's
Yeah. It's cool.
yeah,
I
thank
love
you,
the
thank
cover.
you.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah,
cover.
thank you, thank you. And yeah, like as far as stretch goals go, we're going to see how that goes. I think let's say um, metal bookmarks are not out of the question. Let's see, maybe a little ribbon, for that extra touch of class and what have you. And let's see, not even opposed to say book boxes or something like that.
Oh,
So there's possibilities. I
yeah,
don't want to don't want to give away too
nice.
much, but
Yeah,
yeah, no, I got some ideas,
nice.
and just need to finish building them out.
Yeah, awesome. So okay, so I got a couple of kind of rapid fire out the box questions about this series. Then we'll talk a little bit more about what
Sure,
about the when it's coming out, when people can expect it, and how they can reach it.
absolutely.
All right. So if Concrete Arcanum had a soundtrack, what would the first song be?
Oh gosh, you put that is a good one, man. Um, let's see. I'm gonna think out loud here for a second. Something with a little bit of mystery vibe to it. Like a little bit, like I like the mashup of kind of orchestral and symphonic stuff
Uh-huh.
with more modern day rock, electric guitars and stuff like that. So I'm trying to think if there's a more lo-fi version of like Nightwish or yeah, you're right. Yeah, but let's see. So I think man. Um I was gonna say like if Nightwish, but not as hard. I think. Yeah, right.
All right, so,
Yeah, yeah. Because
nice.
like a lot of yeah, because like I love Nightwish and they're very epic and such, but a lot of Concrete Arcanum is largely just everyday folk, both mystical and mundane everyday folk, is trying to get by in the in a weird new world, and it's something I think we can all relate to at the moment. Let's see. So geez. Um, yeah, I, I'm struggling. I'm struggling to name a band,
Yeah.
that kind of has that vibe. But let's see. Whisper in the Noise is a local one that
Okay.
wouldn't surprise me if you hadn't heard of it,
Yeah.
and that's fine. Um, and then maybe a little bit more, but yeah, some things a little bit more upbeat. So maybe throw some Flogging Molly in there as
Okay.
well.
Nice. Okay, good. So now, okay, is there if you could spend a day in the world of one of the stories in your book,
Oh.
which world would you spend a day
Oh my God. Hey, wow,
in?
you're good at this. Holy shit. Let's see. Ah, man. Um, I would want to spend a day in, I mean, they're all so many of the stories have such an air of compassion about them, and I really love that. Again, so much about folks just trying to get by. Um, all right, I'm gonna start. Okay, I should have done this in the first place, but I gotta pull up my
Oh yeah, no
my
worries.
list here. Let's see of the entries. Mm, Okay. Um da, da, da. I would like to spend okay, definitely not that one. Sorry. Hmm. Um Hmm. Okay. I got to shout out one of my favorite ones. The Werewolf's Nibbling
Okay.
by by an artist by the name of Mallory. It's about a furry who is doing a basically a ride along with her uncle's werewolf pack.
Okay.
So, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it manages to be kind and funny, and has some good cartoony action to it, and yeah, like it was a hilarious premise. Every or both books so far has had one that just makes me laugh out loud whenever I read it. So I think I'm going to call out that one and say, yeah, no, I'd love to see this. I would love to also ride along with the werewolf pack as long as they're like being cool about it.
Nice. All right.
Yeah,
Very
right.
good. Okay, so last one. So if so, and there's maybe a little bit of a little benefit for anyone who's submitting for the next one. Is there a monster that has not appeared yet in either of the two anthologies that you'd like to see in the next one?
Ooh, also a good question. Let's see. All right, so uh, here's the hack. Let's see. You're the one to know is let's see. Like so vampires, werewolves, dragons in the modern day, etc. All, great, love them all, and no shade. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm a mythology geek.
Okay.
So if you can give me some deep cuts, if you can
Okay.
get like mythology deep cuts, throw in a Lamia or a
Yeah.
Strix or something like that, maybe even one of those blanking on the name of those, but one of those they appear in Spirited Away, the little bouncing heads from Japanese
Okay. Yeah.
mythology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, like uh it might not matter what the rest of your story looks like. I'm gonna be like, okay, that one got me. All right, yeah, okay, you're in. Get in here. Right. So,
Nice.
so yeah, so yeah, give me some deep mythology cuts. Throw me with some folklore, and a modern take on it, which is, by the way, one of the premises I think I brainstormed for an upcoming Concrete Arcanum is like retell a bit of folklore in the modern day.
Interesting.
So that might an upcoming an upcoming premise.
Nice.
But yeah, just yeah, again, like as a mythology geek, give me something from from the Nibelungen lead,
Yeah.
like yeah, what have you? Yeah, so
Nice.
that's your hack right there. That's your
Okay.
side scoop.
Nice. Awesome. So okay, so tell us a little bit about the Kickstarter, when it's launching, how people can find the pre-launch, and then how people can reach you or your newsletter, whatever you feel is the best way to get connected with you.
Absolutely. Let's see. The Kickstarter for Concrete Arcanum Living with Monsters launches June 6th, 2025, and will run until the second week in July. So I believe that's the 17th or 18th. Yep. But the sooner you're back, the better. There will be bonus e-comics aplenty along the way. So the more backers we get, the more free bonus e-comics come along with your reward. So that's kind of awesome. Let's see. As far you can find that, just by searching my name on Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter now has a function in which you can follow creators, just
Mhm.
like on the social media. So Google my name, Nathan Lueth.
And I'll include links as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, Lueth. I'll throw up I'll send you a link to the Concrete Arcanum Living with Monsters pre-launch page. Again, strong first day is key to Kickstarter success. So, the more people we can get to back on within the first couple days, the better the entirety of the rest of the campaign will run. As for me, you can find links to everything I do to nathanluthillustration.com. And if you want to follow along as I create the Canon Evangel, you can find me at Nathan Luth Illustration on Substack.
Awesome. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for being on, and obviously thank you for allowing me to be a part of this project. It's been awesome.
Mhm.
And yeah, thanks for being on the show, and I can't wait to see how this turns out. I can't wait to have it physically in my hand because just all the other stories
Mhm.
seem so cool and interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
so
Like
dynamic.
it's been great to have you aboard, and I'm thrilled. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Mhm.